Hi, I'm Sophie, and I haven't seen a lot of films.
Hi, I'm Paul, and I'm here to help with that. And we are
SP, Film Viewers.
Happy 30th to you. Happy 30th to you. Happy 30th to Sophie. Happy 30th to you.
Yay! Thank you. I mean, love how many times you had to say 30th. I mean, just in case I'm going senile already and I don't realise how old I am. But yes, it is true. It's not lying. My little innocent space does look 30. Or I am 30. It doesn't mean it looks 30. But yeah.
So, this will actually be aired on your actual birthday. You know, keeping up with the tradition of birthday specials and going away at the weekend.
And hopefully I haven't had a midlife crisis of thinking, oh my God, I'm 30. And in 30 years I'll be 60. And what have I, because some people do when they're 30, don't they? They have a bit of a, what have I done with my life?
Isn't that more 40?
I don't know. I feel like...
Or is it just getting sooner and sooner
Yeah,
just because how
I think it is.
things go? Yeah.
I'm quite happy with where I am at for 30.
Yep, I'd say I'm similar.
Yeah, so I think we're at even a better place when, obviously, when you were 30, we didn't have the house and stuff like that. So I feel like for me, it's like that's like a big accomplishment. So I'd say, yeah, I'm not doing too bad. Would be amazing.
I'm glad to hear you.
It would be amazing though if we could get paid just to do podcasts all day.
Yeah,
that'd
be the dream.
That would be the dream.
Yeah.
But we're getting there. At least we're participating into the universe.
And so, with it being a birthday special, you got to pick the films that we're talking about.
Got some good ones and some
bad. Oh
yeah.
Well, what you didn't think were bad, or one in particular, which we're going to start off with.
But this isn't my fault. This is the reason why I don't like picking films that neither one of us have seen. And I feel like we've been getting to this point lately with films that neither of us have seen. They've been a bit of duds. And yet again, this is a dud one. But no fault of my own. Paul, it's my birthday. You have to be nice.
Well, no, because when I came down with what we were debating on, like, okay, right, there's a few Hitchcock films I haven't seen either, and I'm thinking you quite enjoyed some of the ones we'd seen.
Mm-hmm. And I love an old film, black and white,
or of that era anyway.
Yeah.
And I in my head came down with the idea to say, right, we'll watch To Catch a Thief, which had Grace Kelly in from, if you remember, from Rear Window.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, oh yeah, so Sophie will probably really like that because she's in it and it's a Hitchcock film. And then you saw on the back, oh, there's a film with James Stewart in called The Man Who Knew Too Much. I said, okay, I haven't seen that either, so we'll go with that one.
And there was Doris Day.
Okay.
So I'm
thinking it's probably a winning combination, and it's a Hitchcock film.
Hitchcock, yeah, exactly. And James Stewart, yes, okay, I am biased. Literally, normally everything that he is in, I have really enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going with that knowledge of really anything he's in, I like. Well, we found something I don't like.
Yeah, me too. I found a Hitchcock film I didn't really like either.
Which I was really disappointed because it's like, oh, it's my fault because I was like, I picked it, but on the basis of what it was.
On paper, it sounded like almost a winning combination.
Yeah.
But in practice, it was just a bit of a slog.
2 hours.
Where it didn't really much grab you. It wasn't that suspenseful.
I even at one point was like, this is not birthday special worthy. I want to cut this and I want to pick something else. And you were like, no, we have to review this film. And I'm like, I don't want it. I don't want to do this on my birthday.
That sounds really...
You were like, no, we've got to review it. Because I feel like you had points that you wanted to discuss and say. And you feel like this was sometimes it's good if we don't like a film.
Yeah, because like I say, sometimes you got more to talk about and that more interesting because it's like you're voicing like what you didn't like, and there's usually a lot more to work around with that generally because it's almost like venting in a sense.
Yeah,
on it,
which God don't I love
Yeah.
to do.
Mm-hmm.
So we start off on a coach/bus.
Oh, well, hang on. Before all that, we've got a dramatic, like orchestral.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that
thing. Which from that I was like, okay. Don't normally have this going on in terms of a thing. But
I didn't even remember it.
It kind of makes sense for later down in the film.
Does it?
It does.
Why?
Yeah. Well, don't you remember the whole reason there was
the church?
No, not even that. When they're at a concert at the Albert Hall.
Oh, yes. Okay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
okay. Yeah.
So okay, so we'll pass the opening credits where it said the symbols that not shocked the world, but they said shocked somewhere. I can't remember even what it said.
Very well done, Paul. Yeah. I'd literally.
And then it goes to the coach.
I didn't even value that piece. I'm not gonna lie. No. It didn't even add value to me. No, nothing. No. And I just was like, right, okay, now the film started. James Stewart's on the screen. And where were we? Like Mexico?
French Morocco. We were going to Marrakesh.
Marrakesh.
Yeah.
So a bit weird for me with this because, not meaning this in a bad way, but those era films were more normally done set either in America or they weren't going on like location as such far out into somewhere that.
I wouldn't say that was true as such because
they've got
like,
that other one,
like a lot of James Bond films in the 60s and
it just
stuff
seemed
were
a bit
kind of like on location to.
Not as cultured to be going and travelling, I guess, back then. Like they didn't really realise like the son by accident pulls off that lady's veil and then there's an uproar on the bus because of it and it's just seems a little bit strange. And when we're going in and out of the markets, it's like there's a backdrop.
Oh, you mean rear projection type of thing. So there's obviously a screen, like they've kind of just got some footage from maybe another film or something from the studio and go, right, just put a green screen up and just have that. It was very jarring in some of those aspects, really. I get it, obviously, the one when they're travelling and stuff, that's fine, because that's been used in a load of films, you know, when they're pretending to drive in the studio, that's fine. But even when they're just on like what looks like a street, like you say, and then it's kind of like they couldn't be bothered to have an instance where, you know, get some crowd people or whatever for a market stall. They had to get some other footage from another bit, and it just looked really like very obvious. Yeah.
But some parts weren't like that, so it was like I don't understand because then other bits are, and it's like, why are we doing two different things here? Why can't we just be coherent? And
yeah, it's almost like, oh crap, this isn't going to work for this scene. We're going to have to shoot this again, or like, oh, we can't do that now. Just get this screen up and have done with it. Move on next. But what I didn't realise going into this, and after the fact looked into it, thinking, I'm sure like the man who knew too much, Hitchcock did, but I saw like a different poster, and it turns out that this is a remake. Hitchcock did himself. It's like the only one example of a film where he's had to remake a film of his own back catalogue. It was one that he did in the early 1930s when he was kind of just starting out. I think this was down to studio pressure, like contractual demand from Paramount to, you know, like, well, you've got to make another film.
Churn it out.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, well, I guess I'll make this one because you know.
And bung in James Stewart because obviously he's a big name at that point.
He's worked with him in other films and stuff. Like he's I think more like like you think like modern stars of today, really, kind of like for that to appeal to that audience at that time. Like, oh wow, if you've got
James Stewart in it.
Yeah.
Like me, I was like, oh, James Stewart. I was like, yeah, I'm sold. Normally his characters are so lovely and humbling, and this character was just a bit of a pain in the arse. Like, his son, in the end, has been kidnapped, and you don't really see them really caring. Like, they don't seem that upset by it.
No, definitely not. No, it really seems odd. I mean, I can't comment on what the 1930 version was, but I think what I read was it was a daughter instead of a son.
So that makes it worse.
But I think she was a bit older as well, I think.
Okay.
But,
so it could
but
be a
like
bit
a more teenage, not like a young lad.
Yeah.
But they didn't seem that concerned,
No.
like you say, about it, or a lot of contrivances with how the plot worked, where they somehow knew where he was in the entire world. Like, oh, well, he's
in England.
He's radar sense or something, like he's gone there, something. I mean, Doris Day as the mother kind of seemed like sort of worried and sympathetic about the situation and everything.
James Stewart, though, like, how lovely is he in A Wonderful Life? Like, he's the best dad. Even though he yells at, like, Zuzu and he's like, you know...
That's in the moment where he's down in his luck. He's been beaten out of him and stuff, and he's just had it hard all his life, essentially.
He's a lovely dad. He is, and, like, is one of those kind of, like... And this, it doesn't seem to be much connection with the child or anything. And it's just a bit like... It just doesn't seem the nicest of characters. He's very self-absorbed and loves to talk about himself. That's like when he's on the bus. And obviously the guy helps him kind of calm the situation down with his son taking the veil off. And then he's asking him all these questions.
Mm-hmm.
And like Doris Day's character says, well, you might as well just handed him your passport kind of thing. And it just feels like they get into this situation that they don't need to be in by just being too trusting. Like, there's one point of, oh yeah, my kid's going to the market. Oh, we need to go to the police station because what's-his-face now was being killed in front of the child.
Mm-hmm.
If that were my child and my child had just witnessed a man dying, I wouldn't believe in him with some random strangers that I've just met on holiday.
You don't do that, do you?
No.
Certainly not in this day and age.
You know, Madeleine McCann kind of screams to me here. Like,
yeah, pretty much.
Literally, one night they were leaving him in the hotel and I was like, are they not going to have someone look after him? But apparently a babysitter was coming.
Yeah.
And it's like, who hires a babysitter abroad? You don't know them. Like, if you can't be bothered looking after your child while you go on holiday, let a grandparent look after it and go on holiday yourself. Like, that's what it felt like. It was like the child should just have stayed at home with grandparents if he'd have had any.
I don't know.
And the film would not exist and then it'd be fine. Can't believe we're talking about this on my birthday special.
I can't believe the film's called The Man Who Knew Too Much, when James Stewart's character kind of like didn't know a great deal about the culture when he was, particularly when he was in the restaurant, he was trying to like get comfy
that reminded me of you.
The seat and everything, and or like how they
eat with their fingers
and stuff, and all that kind of mannerisms at the table and stuff. Yeah,
it was like you when we were in Japan, crossing your legs.
Yeah, I'm not good with sitting
You're not
on the
very
floor,
flexible,
and it just my legs get dead and it's really uncomfortable. Oh, no,
bless you.
Can't do that. But the seats that we sat on are really just like almost like a kid's chair. Like you just sink into them and just not firm enough,
not comfortable, and too low down if you've got long legs. He looked like Waluigi, you know, when he's on the bike. Yeah, his legs are up here.
Yeah, but he does. James Stewart's character kind of gets worked up about unimportant things. But I could say that about myself, to be honest. Like, I get that way about it.
I'm glad you said it and not me. I was thinking,
It's like, did I just leave it, Paul? Just why don't get help about?
Well, like, there's a fly and you're like, why? And it's like, well, it flew through the window, that is why.
Yeah, we've got the whole world to fly around in.
But you yelling at it, like...
Yeah, no, but it's like...
It can't hear you.
No, I know that, but it's just the annoyance because it's like, where have you gone? I'll sit down, it'll fly past me again, I'm like... Right, I've tried to like fly spray and they're kind of more annoying now because they don't have the buzzing sound anymore. It's like they've evolved to not make that sound, just to annoy people even more. It's
you
like
ever thought, Paul, it might be your hearing?
No,
and you're getting old.
But I digress.
So, what does James Stewart's character get heads up about then? Like
the fact that the guy, what was his name now?
I don't feel like we need to do names. We can
the guy who gets knocked off, basically.
Mr.
Sorry,
B, no. I've wrote down. I don't know.
No, sorry, Louis Bernard, I think it.
Oh, there we go.
Like
That's why it's Mr. B.
Mr. B. He said, "Oh no, sorry, I can't join you for dinner." And then all of a sudden, they see him in the same restaurant with a somebody else, and he's like, "Oh, well, thanks for blowing us off," kind of thing. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna say something."
It's like you met him just
Yeah,
today.
He's not like his best busy mates, are you?
No, like
With
just
him.
let it go. It's fine. To be fair, if I were on holiday, I wouldn't be wanting to be socialising with everybody. I'd be like, I'm on holiday just with the person I'm on holiday with. I don't need to be making friends and all of this. Like, fair enough if I bump into somebody, but I won't want to be going out every night with them.
No.
Like when we were in Japan, we made some really nice connections there.
But that was part of a tour group thing anyway, so that's
and that
different.
was lovely.
Yeah.
But we still made sure we had our own time as well, which is
yeah.
what you should do as a couple.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that kind of, if I found funny when Bernard's obviously assassinated, and he's whispering to James Stewart, was he called Ben?
Ben, yeah.
McKinnon?
Oh, I don't know.
We'll call him Ben. Or James Stewart, whatever.
Let's just go James Stewart.
Yeah. It basically is. And what he whispers to him, and then later on we get a note that kind of like shown on screen, and you're supposed to read this. The audience, this is obviously they like hold on for quite a while and thinking, but I can't read this scrawly writing. Like how would in the cinema like no time to decipher what that reads. I was trying to like
we
I had
actually
to pause,
paused, yeah.
but then I didn't know later on in the film that you were going to read out that anyway. So like, what was the point?
Well, yeah.
It could have just not
and we
bothered.
got it wrong.
A slight bit, yeah.
Yeah.
But more or less, I got kind of like, okay, I think that says assassinated or soon,
it was very scrawly.
Soon. Yeah, it was. Okay, you may as well have just not have shown the note on screen if you're going to read it out later.
Agreed.
So, daft, but it's like the extra effort I didn't even need to do.
I think all of it was a bit of a extra effort that we didn't need to do watching this film, and I'm really disappointed. I am. I was like, I don't know why we're watching this, and it's my fault.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
like I say, I did
Shush
pick
you.
something else initially, and but who knows? Well, I'll come to that at a different point, and
then I'll be like, Paul.
It doesn't matter anyway.
A man who knew too much was better.
I can't think.
Doubt it.
Yeah. And the fact that he's James Stewart's getting Doris Day to like, oh, you need to take these pills to make her feel calmer and everything, like to subdue her, just to tell this information about, oh, son's been kidnapped and everything.
Because he was a doctor, wasn't he?
Yeah. So just relax, just take some pills.
He seemed a bit more like arsey about it, like, a bit more controlling than kind of the nice James Stewart character I adore. And obviously Doris Day's singing in this was...
I feel like that's the only reason she was put in the film, though, because I'm only going to do this if I get to sing. Because what's it? Say, Sarah, Sarah. Which
whatever
I think
will be. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bit at the beginning when she's singing that with her boy. Hank is the kid's name, by the way.
Oh, yeah, because he appears a lot, doesn't he? Kidnapped half the time.
No, but that comes to light later in the film. Eventually end up somehow magically knowing he's in England. So, to England we go. And it seems very out of place for a Hitchcock film to have like this comedy bit where he's finding out Ambrose Chapel. It's like a person called Ambrose, and like to this taxidermist place. And then there's all this comical bit of trying to like stop him getting out of the plate or something, having a kerfuffle.
And then they're trying to move the taxidermy kind of...
It's like a swordfish or something in his way.
And then there's a little tiger.
It's like,
and it was
like, did someone get their arm stuck or something?
Yeah, at one point. And I'm like, what am I watching? And I'm like, no, this is not right.
It turns out to be a red herring, so I guess there's that, but...
Well, no, because doesn't it sound like a chapel would be a chapel? Never heard somebody called...
Ambrose.
Chapel, as a name.
That's a surname, as in a surname.
Still, I knew it was going to be a place and not a person.
Oh, so you did know that, did you? You knew that they were in the wrong place?
Yeah.
You didn't say anything when we were watching the film.
Well, no, because I was too busy cringing with the whole stuffed animal scene that didn't need to be there. It could have cut off, like, at least 20 minutes with all that. And then the people in their apartment, like, I don't get this. Like, they had people over. I won't be like, oh, you just sit in my apartment and stay there.
I know, especially considering the situation they were in. They were all, like, calmy and things if, like, oh, nothing's ever happened. They're very cool, calm and collected about it all. Someone's kidnapped and, like, everything's
But they didn't
fine.
want to lose face, did they, and tell people?
No, but no, they, like... not even like, oh, what's wrong? You look like a bit flustered or anything like that.
No.
Like upset. No, they didn't seem.
Nothing. It just seemed really bizarre.
No.
And then I'd have been like, oh, well, we best be going, so you need to get out of my flat. No, stay there.
Stay there.
And then obviously Doris Day goes, and then James Stewart comes back, and they still stay there for the amount of time that they've had all this kerfuffle and got the boy and everything, and they're still there. It's like, I'd have been like, well, where have they gone?
Yeah, no, I don't know why they're hanging around.
Yeah.
Like, they've got nowhere else
if
to
that
be.
were me, I'd be really pissed off that I'm gone to see somebody, they've walked out on me, and I'm just stuck in their house for some reason. Like, hadn't you got better things to do?
Other than the fact that Doris Day's like a famous, obviously not Doris Day in this, but like another famous singer or something on the theatre or something like that, or some along those lines. So that's as if like she's a celebrity they're kind of like pining over to like get a glimpse of.
No, I feel like it's more like they're on the stage with her and stuff for the friends. So it's not.
It's very peculiar.
It's very bizarre. And then don't get me started towards the end.
Yeah, we'll get to that. We've got to church scene, choral church. You know, like it was like very typical of how going to church and everyone's kind of singing in that kind of the hymns in that kind of.
Depends on what church you've gone to. There's some where they're like a bit OTT and they're waving their arms in the air and everything. I've been to several church sermons.
No, I mean like a gospel one where that's that where like that's a church I'd like to go like singing like proper hallelujah and all that kind of.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I know what you mean, but I've been and no, because then you feel like if you're not like that, then you very much
you actually feel like something from being in that situation. Whereas this one, it's kind of like I just don't want to be here type of thing. It's just it just takes me back to like friends to grandparents and stuff. I went to there when I travelled down to Birmingham, and we had to go to Sunday service there, and it was just like I don't want to be here. Yeah, kind of just like having to sing these hymns and pretend like it's going.
The best part was going into like the Sunday school play bit.
Weirdly enough, I didn't even like doing that.
Why?
Yeah. I just didn't want to do it. I'd just rather be like again. I think it was a very introverted self when I was younger. And
weren't you?
Like really young though, like interacting with other people. I just didn't want to bother.
Oh, Paul.
So
I didn't mind doing that. If it was crafty stuff, I was quite happy to be shoved in there. Like around Easter time, if I was making something, I was more than happy. Yeah. But the little bread and getting the wine when you were a bit older and you didn't get to go into Sunday school, that's when it was like. Yeah.
Well, the funny thing about this, I know, is that obviously they're doing like the mock singing. It's like, oh, this is a red herring, and everything that James Stewart says. But at Doris Day, like singing like properly, and then someone turns around like, "What are you doing? Like showing me up?"
Yeah, yeah. And
like,
obviously,
you
no one
can't
else.
Be too good.
No one else
too
can
good
sing.
For this place. Yeah, that's kind of finding that amusing, really.
Oh well, at least you found something amusing of it.
Mm-hmm. But then we get to the. Obviously, like, there's an instance where they clear out the church because it's like, you point out, oh, that woman, the one who had kidnapped away in Morocco, you said, like, our acting was really bad. She's like, given, like, could you not, like, mouth it a bit better there?
Yeah.
They're at the back.
It didn't even look like she was saying anything. Yeah. Like, no one else could see her, like, saying anything to him. So,
gone,
she could have, like, mouthed it very clear.
Yeah.
But no. Yeah. It was a bit shit, really.
Mm-hmm. He gets knocked out, James Stewart does.
He does?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And then, obviously, Doris Day tries to get the police to come, but obviously it's a church. And around that time, church was like, couldn't do no wrong, could it? They wouldn't think that something dodgy would happen in a church.
No. Eventually get to this back to the Albert Hall. The very meta part where the fact that Bernard Herrmann is playing at the concert hall, and Bernard Herrmann is normally Hitchcock's go-to guy in terms of doing the score and everything for most of his films. So it's kind of like a nice nod there, I suppose. So it's like plastered on the sign and everything. That was the fact.
I knew you wrote something down, but it was irrelevant to what I knew.
So then this is where, basically, from where the start of the film was, where the concert's being played with all the instruments and the choral stuff going on. Yeah. Although Doris Day gets a free show, she just said, "I'm looking for someone," and she just stands in the foyer. Like, imagine doing that now. Like,
you wouldn't get a chance to. You'd have to go through
security.
For your tickets. Yeah.
You'd be like, no, excuse me, you can't stand here. You're blocking an exit.
And also, you won't be getting in because you don't have a ticket, love. And
Like,
they'll be
that's
having
okay.
to check your bags and everything
Yeah.
before you get in.
But her screaming kind of stops the assassination plot.
She saves the day.
Is it the Prime Minister, wasn't it?
Yeah, the Prime Minister,
He
yeah.
gets shot in the arm, but he still managed to go to a party at the end of the thing.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's just a flesh wound, it's fine. Whatever. Yeah.
If that were our Prime Minister today, you'd be like hearing about it for like weeks.
Yeah.
Like, oh, my arm.
Just brushes it off,
Yeah. And then, obviously, the people who have kidnapped the boy, like, basically didn't do their end of the bargain because, obviously, they hired somebody to assassin the Prime Minister.
Yeah. It's all taking place at this embassy, isn't it? It's like, oh, right, I want the power to overtake the Prime Minister, so they were supposed to kill him off so I can be the Prime Minister. Whatever. So
now the boy is being threatened to die. I don't know why he has to die now because the Prime Minister didn't die, so somebody has to suffer. And it's like, why the little boy of all? And then the funny thing is, the woman that's been like in the church and pretending to be...
she has a change of heart.
No! And it's like, well, you kidnapped him this entire time. What's your problem?
Yeah, I don't really get what that was all about with the why she changed face, turned heel, whatever. That. But
it gets worse, doesn't it, then, as well? Once James Stewart goes upstairs and he's trying to find his boy, because obviously she's singing...
Oh, yeah, couldn't do more obvious, like, Que sera, sera, like, may as well just done that. Whatever will be.
He's probably yelling it.
Just so that the boy could hear. Like, oh, it's mum downstairs.
Yeah.
And she, that woman's like, oh, whistle like to him as loud as you can or something. So
and now she's just trying to be a good character. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah, well, makes sense.
Maybe you should have been good from the get-go and you wouldn't have been in this predicament.
But go on, what are we...
But then it's obviously the dad of... Yeah. Well, not the dad, but the husband of the church wife comes in and he's like, no, we've got to kill the boy. And he's like kind of having a bit of a scrap with James Stewart. And then, like, what we're going to do is going to walk down the stairs and then it's the gun in the jacket that does me in. Like, it's like such a comedy kind of thing. Like, pointing the gun. It's like, obviously, no, everyone knows that must be a gun in there. Like, clearly looks sketchy as all.
Yeah.
But luckily somehow he gets pushed down the stairs. I guess he dies. He must have snapped his neck or something.
It didn't look much of a tumble, but I guess it would have been always incapacitated, and that's that. And then it's kind of like at the end, it's like, oh, when they go back to the apartment with the Hank, it's like, sorry we took so long, we had to pick up our son, and then it just ends. It's like, it's like a comedy bit, like, like, that's all, folks, kind of.
Yeah. I was glad it ended.
It
was disappointing.
It really was. And for 2 hours, there could have been a lot cut out from it.
Yeah.
A lot, hell of a lot.
Could have been done better. So I feel like that's like the worst out of the way. Mm-hmm. So do you get to score first as well? Because we haven't seen it. Is that how we do these now?
Yeah, I guess I'll score it. Anyway, yeah.
This is how birthday specials go. I make the rules up.
Mm-hmm. So I've kind of, when I've gone through the notes on these, I've kind of made a conscious effort to write down what my rough scoring is, but I can't even say this, like how low of a score for a Hitchcock film this is, but
it looks like it pains you.
It really does. The fact that it was such a disappointment.
Trust me to pick one that would be rubbish.
Well, going with a 6.
It's generous.
No, I was toying with 6.5, but I thought no.
That is just too generous.
Well, what's your score then?
I'm toying between 2.
Okay.
I think it was initially going to be a 5.
Right. I don't think it's.
And then reflection and part of me thinks, well, I would not watch it again. Should it be a 4? But initially, when I watched it, it was a 5.
So you're going with 5?
Now thinking about it, I wouldn't watch it again. I wouldn't spend another 2 hours on it. So it does feel like it's actually going down in value instead of up.
Okay, so what is your final score?
4.5.
4.5, okay. Alright, that's a knock on James Stewart then, isn't it?
Nothing wrong with James Stewart, leave him alone.
Well, you clearly think that it is from his performance in this.
It's not James Stewart. It's not his fault. It's Hitchcock.
Yeah. Alright, yeah, I'd say so.
Curse you, Hitchcock! I'd marry James Stewart in a heartbeat if he wasn't dead.
And you were of that era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be swooning.
Posters of him.
Yeah. Chucking my knickers at him.
So they'd been frowned upon back then, I think.
Oh, yeah, it probably would have been. Called a right hussy.
So now we go on to the film that I haven't seen and Sophie has seen.
Which is obviously not a wide window of films. So obviously, of course, it is a rom-com comedy.
Yep, and something that's been on the cards that you wanted me to see for a while anyway. So
I'm interested in hearing your thoughts on this one.
The film in question, if you can gather from the title, is America's Sweethearts.
So it has got another lead that I like.
John Cusack.
And we've got Julia Roberts.
She's not the main lead though, is she?
No, but she seems to be a side kind of main story, I'd say. Because you've got two parts here, haven't you? But you've got also, what's her name?
Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Which, she's a bit of a love-hate of mine.
I can't think of anything I've really seen that I've kind of enjoyed from her performance, really. She kind of just indifferent to her, really.
I feel like I love this film, but she's a bit of a downside on it.
But I think she plays the character well.
Yeah, I think that's because that's who she is.
Yeah, so it's not too far off from that. In normal circumstances, perhaps, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But going into this, though, I had to note to you the fact that the director of this was the same director who did Christmas with the Cranks.
Which didn't give me much glee, because I don't ever want to watch Christmas with the Cranks with Paul ever again. Because you spoil it for me.
Oh, yeah, it's just so rubbish.
Stop it.
I gave the film really low score. You can check that on the 100th episode if you so wish. I'll leave it there. But when I told you that, it's like, okay, it better not be that kind of stupid humour in it. But thankfully, not too bad in terms of...
There's some humour where it's a bit, but it's not constant.
Not half as bad as... I don't know what he was thinking when he did that Christmas the Cranks film, really.
It's nostalgia for me, so I can't...
Yeah. But anyway, we're not here to talk about that. So, I think what you said to me, like, you might like this, Paul, because it's one of those kind of... You know, I'm a sucker for the film about a film process. So you kind of got me in with that a little bit. A little bit. So yeah, that was working in favour of everything.
And you've got John Cusack, which you do like.
I do like him. He's a good.
And
he's back in the day. I haven't seen him in a while for doing
recently,
stuff. Yeah,
like Julia Roberts. She's got a film coming out with George Clooney. She hasn't been in much recently, so I'm quite excited to see that. Normally, to be fair, anything that she's in is pretty solid. And I do really enjoy this film because I was a bit like, it's one I haven't seen in a while, but I remember my old Sophie kind of film critique self of only rom-coms really enjoyed this. Is it going to be like Dirty Dancing, where...
Is it going to hold up? Yeah.
I watch it again and I'm a bit disappointed, which I wasn't. I personally thoroughly enjoyed watching this film again, and I would watch it again. Like, I would, and I wouldn't be bothered about it. Knowing it for beat would not be an issue.
Right. On a critical eye, though, was the things that you kind of pointed out that was like either good or bad, like any scenes or...
I think the only character-wise is obviously Catherine Zeta-Jones and is it Hank or Hugh? Hector. There we go.
Yeah.
Got it.
H. Yeah.
Them two do great on me, but luckily they're not got that much airtime. That I think.
Well, Catherine Zeta-Jones does.
Yeah, but not together as a couple, and I think that's the bit that frustrates me the most is when they're all over one another. It does work really well with relationships and the story behind it. How people in the business can make things look and deceive it to what it is, like paparazzi and...
Yeah, they're trying to spin a story to make sell papers or just got good enough publicity for something. And
they're back together, or aren't they? And it kind of reminds me of like when Justin Timberlake and Britney Spears split up. Because they were like American sweethearts at one point like that. They were like the pop couple.
Yeah.
And obviously once Britney broke Justin Timberlake's heart, she was like literally the bitch, basically, who had broken poor little babyface Justin Timberlake. Everyone hated her and didn't want her to be happy, and clearly wanted her to get back with Justin Timberlake, and then that would have been all okay. And that's kind of shows what this is, really, in a nutshell of a film.
Yeah, there's a lot of people saying, like, when she's on a talk show,
Yeah.
the character of Gwen, so, oh no, I just can't watch the film without you being with Eddie, which is John Cusack's character. It just doesn't work. It's like, there's that persona built up between the two of them from their back catalogue. You kind of see that at the beginning, like, you know them in da-da-da, and there's all these films that they've kind of been in, and all that kind of stuff. And it's true, like, sometimes you kind of just accept actors being with other actors in the films and stuff. Like, I think there was a point when there seemed to be a lot of films, like, I think when Gangster Squad was out, like, Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone, you might have thought, oh, those two are going to get together, because they seem to have, like, in a lot of films where they're in a relationship together and they're going to kind of get together that and have that kind of thing outside of filming and stuff. I know it does happen on sets, like, invariably there's times when people meet on set of, like, Ryan Reynolds met Blake Lively, believe, on Green Lantern, and now they're married and everything.
Got
and
children and everything.
Yeah, so.
But then it's like Emma Stone went out with Spider-Man.
Andrew Garfield, in Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And they broke up, so similar.
So it's hard being in the public within a relationship, and I think that's what this is showing. I don't really have much apart from Gwen and Hector's characters frustrating me. I think everything else, the length of it, the character progression that we get, John Cusack's Eddie, is like, obviously you team Eddie all the way. You know,
I like his sarcastic, dry tone to everything. It's kind of like, his frustrations and stuff. I mean, it's just how he is, and I do enjoy that from him. Think of, like, High Fidelity and stuff.
He's literally the same, but he's still that romantic as well that he's got in Serendipity. So you've got the two, really, in the end. You've got the both. Obviously, don't get me wrong, this is no Serendipity. I did say this to you before we came in. Like, if I had to pick between Serendipity and this one, Serendipity gives me those feels more. It's that more romantic. But then, yet again, you've still got that weird guy in Serendipity, like, that she dates for a bit, that's in this funky band.
Oh, yeah, that's
and he's
true.
Frustrating.
Is it just because of the foreign and it's kind of...
No, it's not.
I mean, that even in, I suppose, in Serendipity, he's trying a bit better. This Hank Azaria, he does, like, a lot of work for The Simpsons, stuff like, you know, Mo, the bartender, and Professor Frink, and like doing those voices and stuff.
He was, and
then obviously putting on, like, a Spanish kind of thing, and it's like, yeah, okay, and it works in a cartoon state because it's like a caricature of that. But when you're just trying to do it in a real life situation, trying to come across
and it was
realistic,
stuttery, and it was kind of pretending.
I had like a lisp.
Yeah,
and that's not funny.
No. And he kept on calling Eddie a pussy, and
pussy
I hate
boy,
that.
yeah.
I hate that. Absolutely hate the word. Ugh. So, yeah, there's certain things where it's a bit cringe, but it all works to make you kind of despise certain people and really love other couples. And I think that's...
What I imagine would be a tough thing, actually, is the fact that when Julia Roberts is the sister of Gwen, and that it's all like, it's all... Gwen's always me.
Yeah.
And, like, stupid things like, baby was judging me. It's like, get over yourself, really. And, like,
you're smoking in proximity of me.
And all that kind of stuff. Like, you really do feel sorry for her. But there's people like that, I'm sure. Even if you're blood related, there's, like, runners and stuff who just try, like, absolute shit just because they think they've got the higher ground, these higher celebrities and stuff.
Like,
it's
you
kind of
got my coffee order wrong, I'm going to chuck it in your face.
I think this film's trying to be like a commentary on, like, the movie industry and stuff. Like, the fact that with it probably is frustrating having to, like, these 5-minute segments of, like, Entertainment Weekly or whatever news broadcasting thing. Like, let's have an interview with you too, like, what's coming up in the next film that you're doing and all that kind of stuff. And you have to keep those press junkets, like, different people, right, next person in, you've got to repeat the same thing over and over again. Must
need to love to talk about yourself.
Yeah,
basically.
That's it.
I think that's the issue as well. It does show how somebody can really love themselves to a point of where they're put on a pedestal, that they are number one, like, they're amazing and everything. And no wonder like some of these celebrities have such a big crash and burn when the career either spindles out of control or it just fades and it's like you're not that shiny new thing anymore. And that must be really hard for like mentally, like to be number one and then not be. Like if you're just an average Joe Blogs for the majority of your life, you know, you're probably going to get by a lot better than if you this amazing superstar that you thought you was amazing and now you're working in McDonald's or something.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I think it works really well. I do feel sorry for Kiki, who is Julia Roberts.
I forgot her name. Yeah, sorry.
She's like the lackey, so to speak, and puts her sister constantly first, and it's draining for her. And she secretly always liked Eddie as well.
I don't know what you thought about that relationship. The fact that there was like a moment where they were obviously drunkenly kissed her when she was 4 stone heavier. Is that about right? Yeah. She's wearing a fat suit, which kind of threw me off a little bit. Like, what the hell? So, what is it saying that? Oh, just because she was a bit fatter, wasn't much of an interest.
I think he was.
But then when she's thinner now, she's like, "Oh, you look great" and everything. Then it's like, "I'll make a move now."
I hope not.
And then the fact that it's obviously because it's Len's sisters, like you've slept with, and like I find that a bit odd.
Yeah, it's like you
to be doing that with
breaking up with me and going with Sarah.
Yeah.
It's strange, but I think to be fair, he always probably liked Kiki.
No, that's what the film is pushing for. Obviously, it's like, oh, it should have been me all along, really.
Yeah,
because I'm always there for you in the shadows in the background.
And you just didn't realise it because it sounded really brilliant in paparazzi and in magazines to be with Gwen, and he fell in love with Gwen on the stage, which I think lots of actors and actresses do. They fall in love with the character, like I do with James Stewart in It's a Wonderful Life. That's why I love him. He probably is nothing like that character, you know. If I ever met him, like,
well, you won't now.
Well, when I die, if I meet him, he's never going to be probably
quite the same. But no. Yeah, you'd like to think that they are, though, wouldn't you? Exactly like that, but
it's like you like Emma Stone, but you only like Emma Stone from what Emma Stone shows you.
In the interviews and stuff, she seems like she's kind of quirky and stuff anyway from that. So you'd kind of think, that's probably... Yeah.
That's what she's like. Yeah. But she's
obviously,
an actress.
You never see that in interviews unless it's like something that's recorded off the cuff, or like, no, you weren't supposed to see this, whereas someone's having an argument with someone like a stagehand or whatever, and it's like, oh, well, now you see the light, how they really are, kind of thing. There's been various instances where that's maybe happened, but...
What did you think of how it was going to end? Like, did you think the ending was going to be the way it was? Or did you think that was a bit of a twist with the film? That, obviously, this film was like...
They haven't got the print for it, so they've got to plug it, try and sell it without seeing any clips from it and stuff.
And that's why we're kind of making more of an uproar with Gwen and Eddie.
I mean, I didn't know it was going to be as... Well, almost like documentary style, behind the scenes stuff. If that was released as what the film was, under the title, the film was called what? I did write it down somewhere, I think. Time Over Time.
Yeah.
And like, okay, with that title, and then you just looking at what someone's just done, camcorder stuff, like, oh, I'm saying this behind your back. Is that really a film? That, I mean, obviously you don't see the whole thing, and it's supposed to be this guy called Hal, who's Christopher Walken,
like amazing director,
whoever like quirky,
Oscar winning and
stuff. But it sounds like probably something would be appropriate at one of those Sundance Film Festival stuff, and it's like high praise. Like the critiques would be like, "Oh, this is fantastic! This is real emotion and kind of stuff," and then regular Joe public would be like, "What?"
I think I quite liked it, actually, because it was like showing the true characters and the true selves, and I think Karma kind of bit them in the arse a little bit.
Yeah, but I mean, in terms of, that's fine, but I mean, in terms of like, oh yeah, like the critics, when Billy Crystal's character, Lee, he was like, at the very end, it's like, oh, the critics loved it and everything like that. I don't kind of believe that. I think that was just like a nice little tidy bow for the film, really, to just say that, but you're sure it's, to weed them out as like being like, oh, these people are actually really like toxic and corrupt or whatever, that's fine. But in terms of like releasing it as a marketing, as a like, this is the film, then no.
I think as well, though, I quite like more reality TV. You don't. You're not one to really enjoy that.
No,
You don't
I'm not,
kind of what
kinda
like.
boring.
Yeah, you don't want to watch people's
I want
lives.
to watch to escape. Really, in
Oh.
in a situation of like thing that won't happen, like a space battle or.
Why do you need to escape, Paul? Is the world that bad?
No, I just mean in like that seems more interesting to me because that won't happen in real life. I don't need to see some people talking to like what's it called? Like talking heads like to the camera, like, oh man, I'm hanging out with Josh and he's not being like very friendly towards me anymore, kind of thing. And there's kind of like, you know, Love Island kind of thing. Or those, you know, what's the one you're watching at the moment?
I'm watching at the moment.
Love is Blind or something like that on Netflix, and it's like, yeah, I mean, you know where it's going to be. It's either going to be like they fall out of love or they don't. It's like.
Oh, you're so romantic, Paul. So romantic.
But it's so drawn out though. Like
Yeah.
they just milk it for what it's worth. And it's like there's no need. About films that are going on.
I would probably watch the film and be like quite intrigued by it because I kind of like that things. Whereas obviously you've got different taste, but I am intrigued to know what you think of this film in a whole. Your opinion does matter, and I'm hoping you enjoy it. You did actually say you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it more than I thought it was. Like I say, the humour wasn't too crazy stupid or anything like that. There's the odd things where it's like, oh, suggestion, like when he's caught, Eddie's caught on camera, look like, oh, he's jerking off.
Yeah.
He's just pulling some cactus things out of his pants or whatever. And it's like, oh yeah. They didn't go too stupid, like
no.
The security has been super reactive or anything like that. But
the dog as well was a bit of a...
That was the only slight bit like, okay, why did Billy Crystal write that into the script?
Yeah.
Like, oh, a dog licking his balls. Is that some sort of fantasy he wanted to have and just didn't want to admit it or something? I don't know. Seems a bit strange. And that bit at the end where the dog just randomly appears in the hotel room. It's like, where's that dog been the whole time?
Yeah,
that was a bit
that.
Like, I don't know. Because at the end, Eddie and Kiki are like, all right, I'm going to just take off now and live our lives or whatever. And then he's just left with that and it's a bit... Yeah, okay. Is that supposed to be just like a funny bit that isn't funny?
Yeah. I think it is.
I think overall though, I did like the sequences where, like, I guess a film head really with this, the dramatic moments that Eddie's building up in his head, like he's on a motorbike and he crashes into the restaurant. So it was our restaurant. It's like a dark and stormy night and everything.
Yeah.
He kind of does this kind of thing. And there's another sequence where they meet up on the top of the hill. And it's like a smoky silhouette moment. And then he kind of like, "Oh, you're going to shoot me?" It's like, "Yeah, I'm going to shoot you." And those kind of things, like, yeah, there's elements kind of thrown in to add a bit of something to it, like you would in a typical movie scenario. I think it's kind of like almost like a cutaway, like in Scrubs. Kind of thing, like imagining, like, oh, this is what I want to do,
but I'm not going to do it,
or that's happening. Yeah, so it's kind of cool.
Oh, I'm glad you value that.
Yeah,
it sounds promising so far. I feel like I really like it for the story, the moral. There's some really good character developments in it. I feel like it's fun, light-hearted. There's some cringy comedy, but
it's like I had enough to enjoy. I think it's something. Like not tomorrow or anything like that, but I would probably come back to a different because it's got the film angle with it.
I can't believe this. I'm literally looking at him like my mouth is opening wide.
But I did have to go back through some of the scorings I've done for previous like comedy films I've done in the past because I feel like for me that's like I've got to sort of do a buffer like, well, if I gave such and such that score, then it's kind of is it better than higher or lower than that, and vice versa. If I gave something quite a low score, is that like, did I enjoy it more than that? So I'm going to put it at a 7.
Thought I might have got a little higher.
Really?
Yeah. Just because of the movie element, I thought that would knock it up there. To be fair, though,
thing, but I think that for me, that's quite high praise for.
I'll take it
for most comedies. There's other ones that kind of can go above that, but that's more. They've got something a bit extra to them. This don't get me wrong. This did have something going for it in terms of what the film was kind of the overlying story was. So that's why, and like I say, the humor, what it was going for was it worked to a degree. It wasn't too offensive for me in terms of what it was.
So to be fair, mine isn't much higher.
Why are you complaining then?
Just because it's a film about a film,
Oh,
so I
right,
thought I'd
okay.
got you.
Right. Okay.
So that's
Jeez.
why I was
okay.
like, oh, it's...
Oh, you made it sound like...
No,
Right,
I'm not
okay.
going to give it a 10.
Right, okay.
Don't worry, it's
Okay.
not a 10.
All right, well,
but it's still a film that I really enjoy. And
yeah.
it's something that I will put on again. I'd watch it and it's lighthearted and I can relate to Kiki's character.
Mhm.
And I just feel like it's one of those things where you can kind of see how the other half live.
Mhm. It's
It's not like Serendipity. There is some other ones that are knockouts in comparisons. And I don't know what I scored Serendipity when I did.
I think it's higher than mine, probably.
I'm going to score this as an 8. I don't think it's bang on 9s or 10s. So I don't know if it's because of the humour or not, but yeah, that's why it's lower. So we'll kind of try and get through the rumble of the plane while we talk about my scores. So yeah, so an 8, which I don't think is too bad. So I'm not slagging you off too much, but I just thought maybe 7.5 just for the fact that it's my birthday, I'm 30, and it's a film about a film. I thought I was doing all right.
No, enjoyed it for what it was. But I would come back
Have
to
I
it.
done all right with this birthday pick so far? I feel like we had a really shit one with the first one. 7. Is it going to just get higher?
Let's wait and see.
And lastly, but not least, a film we've both seen.
Yeah, and from the list of things I kind of threw out to you, you actually kind of sort of surprised me about picking this one, to be honest.
I used to really like this film, so when I was little.
Well, I don't know about you, but I still have quite an attachment to the film. This is kind of like a nostalgic film for me, from when it came out when I was young lad.
And
but
to be fair, this is a film which both of us have seen but not seen together.
have we not? I feel like we may have done.
I don't remember.
Oh.
I feel like it's been ages since I saw it all the way through.
Oh, okay. I feel like I know this film pretty well. I was like the back of my hand, kind of.
I remember
most
really
beats.
enjoying it when I was little,
I
but
don't know why I do, but
I didn't remember it all the way through, so some of it was still an element of surprise, like rewatching it
like,
again.
oh yeah.
So obviously the film is a process of elimination, and I'm sure all our listeners are very smart to know that we're talking about Jumanji.
Yeah.
Just in case you're not aware. So, 1995 film.
Yes.
Obviously, 90s film. Can't go wrong. I'm a 90s baby through and through. 90s to early 2000s, I feel like they've just got it right.
And when children's films were slightly a little bit darker than what they are today, maybe.
Yeah. Like, I'm surprised, actually. I liked this when I was little. You said this to me, but I'm actually shocked rewatching it.
That's what I mean. Yeah. I'm thinking, this isn't really something that really grabs to a young
Sophie.
girl's female audience. Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I did. Obviously, we have got the lovely Robbie.
Not Robbie Williams.
No.
He's not lovely at all.
No, he's not.
Robin Williams.
Robin Williams.
Yeah.
God bless his soul. Like, everything he does is just golden. Like, he's just perfect in everything.
Mm-hmm.
And his humour is one that doesn't grate on me. It is just fantastic.
Yeah, that old style kind of humour. It's just something about it. He's just has a certain charm to him.
Yeah, he really does.
Yeah.
He's like just this magical human being that's just funny from the get-go. Yeah. It's quite sad, really, to think of him not being happy with himself.
Which, again, like, going back to America's Sweethearts briefly, about the fact that, like, that's almost like a persona. Just being a comedy, I think, can be funny all the time, but in truth and fairness, he was really just quite a sad person. I think they had to keep doing that to be, like, amuse people.
Yeah.
For his whole entire life, and it's like, no, you can't.
It becomes draining.
Switch off, yeah.
Sad. And it's like, people perceive me as this person, so I have to put on this performance, because otherwise, if they saw me really dark and upset, then...
Yeah, no, can't be having that, yeah. You're Robbie Williams, you've got to be happy all the time.
You've got to be the genie, pretty much. Like, literally, everyone just thinks of him from Genie, from the Aladdin.
Yeah,
like
Mrs. Doubtfire, all those kind of films,
I just feel like I've grown up with him as a child, if that makes sense. Like, he's just always been there. Like, even Flubber, like, I know...
No, maybe not a good example, but yeah.
I even love Flubber. I don't remember it now. Like, literally, I'll probably watch it and I'm like, Sophie, why are you mentioning Flubber? But
yeah, it's very much.
That was one of the things when I was little I do remember.
Yeah, I do. I'm remember a flubber, but I mean, yeah, watching now, I'd be like, oh, God.
I watched it as an adult, just like I hadn't watched this as an adult, and it doesn't disappoint. It really doesn't. It's quite dark, it's scary, and I don't want to play the game Jumanji ever.
No, there's actual board game made of it, but it's not. It won't be in like a cool box or anything like that. It'll just be like a normal board thing,
and no real animals will be coming and into your house and wrecking it.
What do you make of that as a concept? Interestingly enough, because I'm thinking like, you know, the way that it's done, like they kind of just materialize out of nowhere, no like fanfare as such, or no build up, should I say? Because they're kind of just like they read what this says on the little thing that comes in the middle, and then they're just kind of just there, almost.
Yeah.
As soon as there's not like a puff of smoke or anything like that, or anything kind of.
And it kind of, they don't really realise that that's going to happen initially, so I think it's more scary, whereas if it was a puff of smoke or something, it's like, oh, something's appearing.
Or, I would say not a rumble, but because it does happen, but one of the things. But, for example, with that, like, one of the things is, like, the stampede comes. Like, where does that stampede initiate from? Because is it like a portal that they come through?
I think it must be, yeah.
Because they've got to be run through from somewhere initially, but how do they... Because there's always a lot of build-up in one of those scenes where that happens. It's like, well, where does that... This is me just sort of nitpicking about a children's film, but it makes you think on some of those things like that. Like, I can get, like, behind one of the first things you see is, like, the bats. They're in, like, the chimney flue, aren't they? So, fair enough. You hear it, like, in a cave.
But I feel like Jumanji's a place. Like, it
is a place.
And it's a jungle.
Yeah.
So it's like the board is opening up a
portal
somewhere within the house. And like you even said, towards the end, the house doesn't get wrecked. Like, literally, once they finish the game, the house is the house. So are they actually just in the house in the middle of the jungle? I don't know. Or is these things drip feeding? I don't know. But I think it must be portalizing or something. There's something that we're not seeing.
It's a children's
film.
Not to think about too much, yeah.
Because when you were a child, you didn't think that, did you? You're just like, oh, amazing. There's some elephants now in the room.
We're not amazing because it wasn't like a...
I just always remember all these animals and like the zebras and everything. Yeah. I just remember seeing this and thinking, this is something I've never seen before.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I enjoyed it so much.
It will have been a few years after Jurassic Park came out with a special effects boom, really. So there's more coming to that kind of like, oh, this is thing we can push that with the technology now with a little bit on certain things. Like there's a lion in certain scenes. I think you pointed out, like, is that like a CGI lion there? But then there's like a animatronic one. So like a mix, like in Jurassic Park, where that kind of occurs.
And the animatronic one looks so much better.
Yeah. Definitely.
Than the CGI.
I mean, like the monkeys do not age particularly well, to be honest. I've got to say they look a bit rubbish, but
you just have to take it for what it is.
Yeah, at the time that was like, whoa, this is.
Yeah, exactly. For like what technology they had back then, that is.
Yeah.
I know we're biased because we're like 90 babies, and
and it's something.
Well, you're just clinging on to being a 90s baby, aren't you? Just a little bit older. 1989.
Just before,
but you pretty much lived all the 90s.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's just amazing. It really is. And I'm so glad we got to watch it together because I think you enjoyed it seeing me actually enjoying it as well. We have also a really young
Kirsten Dunst.
Mary Jane.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
She's so weird because it's like literally it's like she doesn't look apart from being taller.
Is this you're gonna say like what's it, Jamie Lee Curtis?
What?
From Christmas the Crank, like, oh, she's old from Halloween. Her first film was in Halloween, and it's like, oh, she never aged.
Yeah, it just feels like her face is just like the same, like as it is in Spider-Man.
I think maybe it's just women kind of like even when they're younger, they kind of they age gracefully, can't they? Some don't, but.
Yeah, but I think she just looks. Her face is really defined at such a young age that it just looks. Her face looks the same.
Well, been like in her teens when she'll have done that, early teens. So at that point, you kind of have that going about you, don't you? So,
she doesn't look any different. Yeah. It's just like apart from being a bit taller and a bit more womanly, it's like that's literally it. And her voice literally is just the same. I forgot his name. The little boy in this.
Peter.
Peter.
Yeah. He is like, he's a funny, but also amazing, like, scream. like it's a unique scream, I'd say.
But he's so brave compared to Robin Williams' character. He is like the complete opposite of a boy for him. He tries to face up to things and he tries to do better, whereas I think, what is Robin Williams' character called?
Alan Parrish.
Alan.
Yeah.
He is, obviously he's been picked on from a young age.
Yeah.
He has such a horrible upbringing, doesn't he, really? You do feel for him because he's got such rich parents.
Yeah, like, there's this Paris shoes. It's like his dad's empire, really.
And it shows money can't buy you happiness. Like, you can be rich and have all this money in the world, but if you don't have time
for your kids, yeah.
Because
they've all the big house, and he's just eating dinner at the table
on his own,
and lonesome and everything. It's like no other brother or sister to play with and everything like that.
And he's bullied at school. And his dad doesn't stick up for him. He says, like, just go and
face it. Like, but he said he didn't know that he was being ganged up on or whatever. But yeah, I'm sure that's not the only time that's happened, really. But so yeah, his father doesn't have time for his son, and that's
the reason why he gets stuck in a board game. He wants to run away. And then obviously we've got Sarah.
Yeah.
Sabrina. When she grows up.
When she grows up, I'm gonna say yeah.
When she grows up.
Yeah.
But I do think it's the comedy in this, like when Sarah comes back and she's an older version and she's like looking at Alan like, you're meant to be dead. My therapist has told me you're dead and that you didn't get sucked into a board game. And it works. It's such good humour. It does work. It's not cringy. It's comical all the way through.
Yeah. There's that element working for it, yeah.
Yeah. Even though the CGI is a bit ropey now, I still love it for what it is.
I got the practical effects, like the plant stuff, almost like an Audrey 2 type of
I said that
thing. It's like, that looks pretty terrifying, actually, like this big thing that opens up.
Yeah.
Tentacles and like almost like insectoid type of element to it. It's it really kind of like those instances. But like my favourite sequence, which I think is the most effective one, where they actually feel like they're in real peril, is when they're in the house. It's like all like the jungle vines have like really taken over the house after the
water one.
Yes, when the monsoon.
And say that.
And there's a big flooding in the house, and these alligators.
And
sorry, crocodiles. She made that mistake.
I knew you were going to say that because you such a crocodile kind of reptilian, geeky kind of thing, and that's something that you would always want, and that's why it was like a little boy seeing that on TV.
Because they'll be like animatronics, I would assume, and it's like
we're realistic, actually.
Yeah, so the most realistic out of everything that was in the film, kind of masked by water as well. That kind of helps, but obviously crocodiles are kind of like, I mean, they're pretty fast in water, but in terms of in the environment they're in there, they kind of works really well, and it looks dark and gloomy and stuff. But that's what I mean about, like, I think you said, why do they have to keep going back to the house to do? Because I don't know how it would work. I mean, it could work just as well if there was the monsoon that happened when they were outside somewhere. Because that would just be a rain cloud,
to anything or the support,
or they'd be trapped inside like the house. Like the water can go anywhere when it's outside in the street, and also the fact that there's elements like the little tokens they have for the board pieces when they move around the board. Obviously, like there's an instance where Peter tries to cheat the game to win the game, and he's like, "Oh, you're going to become the piece on the board," and he starts to turn into a monkey. So it might look a bit weird if he turned to like either a crocodile or a rhino or something like elephant skin or something.
I do think the monkey kind of is realistic as well. Like it does work
for a humanoid. Yeah.
And the tail coming through and the fur on his face. They do a good job to say
effects for that.
For what they've got.
Yeah. The only things that might not look as good either is the spiders. They looked a bit rubbery.
Yeah. Which didn't bother me.
Yeah. Which I was kind of surprised. Is that because they didn't look that real?
Yeah, no, it didn't faze me. The only thing I would say that did frustrate me, and one that I kind of cut out, is the jungle man. The man that comes out, like the army.
Van Pelt, it's like, I think it's like an amalgamation of like his fears almost of his dad. Yeah, because he's like, it's the same guy who plays.
I got there eventually, didn't I?
So it's like, oh, dad, kind of like face me like a man type of thing. It's all his responsibilities because he's having to grow up in the jungle from a young age, and he's 26 years.
Think his dad murdered him and everything like that.
Stories and stuff, yeah. But you need like a human threat
Yeah.
rather than just animals, because that'll get a bit boring. Because you can't. The
Just the
animals can't
character
talk.
itself is
Yeah.
a bit like archaic and old-fashioned, but I guess that's
But it's that old
replicating
old
his
hunter,
dad
yeah.
as well.
Yeah. One aspect of the film, in particular, kind of seems interesting, is the fact that Alan Parrish once, when he's younger, he's obviously in Jumanji.
Yeah.
And then when he comes back 26 years, the whole economy in Brentford has gone to pot, basically.
Yep.
It's almost like It's a Wonderful Life scenario. Like, I wish, like, if I'd never been born, like, this is what's happened to everybody. Like, it's all just...
Well, he was meant to take on his dad's
business
and everything.
business and everything. Yeah, so his dad didn't, stop going to work, and then I guess because obviously like the fact that it's a factory-based economy, that it's like, well, if the factory's not
Dwindled
open,
out.
and that a lot of people are out of jobs and homeless or whatever. So yeah, it's hard to really. The
It
fact
is,
that,
but it also makes you wonder what it would be like. Let's, for example, say if I wasn't on this earth, like what wonderful life like effect would that happen? Do you know what I mean?
I know, yeah, it's interesting to think that, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. But then you could also go down the spiral of, well, what if me and you had never met? It's quite interesting to think. Well, A, we wouldn't be living here. Or you might be, but you probably wouldn't have been because you wouldn't have known me, so...
No.
Yeah, interesting. But I like the idea of the aspect of A Wonderful Life, but a bit more grim, I guess.
I mean, that was kind of grim, though, wasn't it, for everybody?
Yeah, but at least he had a little angel looking after him.
It's true.
And brought him back to reality.
Yeah.
I have also established that this is now a Christmas film.
You mean the very end? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when everything's all...
Because
fine.
if you're saying Die Hard 2...
Oh, no, come on.
Or Die Hard 1
No,
or whatever...
Die Hard 2 is... You've said that's more of a Christmas film. That there's like snow or something you said in...
Well, this one's a Christmas film then. If we're clutching at straws and saying Die Hard 1 is as well, and there's a Christmas tree in it, this has a Christmas tree.
Not for one scene.
Yeah, it's Christmas. No. It's a Christmas film. Everyone, you can watch it now at Christmas. You're welcome.
Well, you can. You can watch... People watch, like, Willy Wonka.
They also watch Always, and I don't know why. Wizard of Oz.
I think it's just one of those classic films, that's why it is.
But it is, it's a Christmas film, and I didn't realise it ended this way. I can't remember how it ended.
You'd forgotten that they finished the game?
I think they finished the game, but I didn't realise that, obviously, they save the children's parents, because obviously that...
Peter and Judy,
yeah. The parents don't die now, and they don't let them go on holiday, wherever, or on a work trip.
Change the timeline. Yeah.
They don't live in the house, because obviously... Alan's still there, and he marries Sarah, and
they inherit the house. Yeah.
So, and then there's Christmas, and they're serving like food, and obviously, I'd love to have like one of those amazing American Christmas parties.
Would you though think of the cleanup afterwards?
Oh no, I'd love to attend one.
Oh right, okay. I thought you meant host one.
Oh no! I just want to go to one. Yeah. Like, you've got some American friends. You were your American boss. Let's go over and just gate crash some Americans' Christmas party. And then everyone lives happily ever after, pretty much.
Oh, well, except then somebody else discovers, or the boat gets washed away.
Yeah.
In another far off distant land. I don't know where the language of the place that it lands at. It ends up on a beach somewhere, but
yeah,
I don't know what it is.
Is there a Jumanji 2?
Well, they made those one with the Rock, Next Level, or whatever it's called.
But
Kevin
no.
Hart. So I've kind of boycotted them. I don't want... I think we did start it, but it's like, I can't get into this because it's like...
Was Amy Pond in it as well?
Yeah, she was, yeah. And Jack Black. Yeah. But
I
they made two
Jack
of those.
But I can't... Because this is such a classic.
I feel like it was one of those things that didn't need to be modernised.
No.
Like, it's a computer game now. That was the spin they did
just
with it.
Just making it more, like you say, modernised, relatable, because, what is a board game? Because, people don't play on them, do they, anymore?
No.
I used to love Operation,
still like to play Scrabble.
Guess Who? I used to love that game when I was little. Or Connect 4. These games that you just... Frustration as well. Oh,
I don't know about Guess Who, because you can do that in,
well,
that's very boring. It's like, oh, has he got glasses?
Now.
Oh, yeah, that's half the board gone, and it's like, oh, it's done, right? And that's killed 5 minutes.
I used to lie to my sister. She'd say, has it got glasses? And I'd be like, it had. And I'd say no.
That's just mean.
So she'd be like, still not flicking anyone down. So the game would go on a bit longer, and then I'd win.
Mm-hmm.
Battleships as well. I used to love playing.
That's a good game.
Yeah. See, all these games that people are missing out.
No, you have to just play on if it's not on a screen, or on a console, on your PC, on your phone, or whatever, then they're not interested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we have a child, I'm going to buy all these shitty games. Did you ever used to play the kangaroo one? Buckaroo.
There's a donkey.
No.
No. But I know. But,
or like Hungry Hippos.
Kaplunk I played. Yeah,
Kaplunk?
It's a similar thing to kind of like with the Buckaroo, where it's like a tight, like you've got to be careful, you've got to pull, or like Jenga, you've got to be very careful how you strategically pull these plastic rods out and the thing, other than then the things collapse out of it or something like that. Those kind of things.
Yeah, even Snakes and Ladders. I know that sounds daft. It's so simple, but it's
yeah. Or checkers or drafts or whatever you call it. I like that game. Yeah, it's got to keep those games because they kind of get forgotten to time, just like anything, like films that get forgotten to time. If you don't keep them in circulation and stuff, they kind of just get lost, and then people forget about them, and they just churn out the CGI crap. Yeah, comes out.
So, how are we scoring this? Who scores first? Because obviously it's a film we've both seen.
I think I'll let you go first.
Okay.
This time.
Oh God.
Just I know it might not be the way we do it normally, but
well, it's my birthday.
Yeah.
So I'll go.
Yeah.
Since I think you've done both.
Yes.
The other two.
Yes.
So okay. So this score is going to include nostalgia. It's
Mine is.
going to be biased because it is a 90s film and it's got the classic lovable Robin Williams in that we all adore. I can't give it full marks, but it is a high score. And I think it's obviously there is things that are not perfect with it, and I'm okay with that. I'm fine with it because of the age of it. And I think at the time it was magical and mythical and it was enticing as a child to watch.
Definitely was, yeah.
And even as an adult, it still doesn't lose value. It's not one of those where it's just when you're a child you like it and then you grow up and you don't. You still enjoy it. Like, you could put it on with your own children and still enjoy watching it.
Yeah.
And I'd just probably watch it if I didn't even have any children like we just did. And I would watch it again. I can't say I wouldn't. I can't really fault it apart from that horrible shooty man guy. Just because he's a bit like off his rocker, pretty much. Like, he's like insane. Like, he just wants to kill people.
Or him specifically. Alan, yeah.
So for me, it's a big solid 9.
Wow. Okay.
I'm very biased. It's very much nostalgia driven. It just feels like one of those things where you used to watch it with your mum and dad and you were little, and just feels quite heartfelt for me still now. And I really enjoyed coming back to it. Just brought back all those feelings.
Right, okay.
I think if I was being really critical, it probably would be knock it down a score or 2.
Right.
But nostalgia bumps it.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Because I know I've done things in the past where I've gone, if it's critical, and then a higher one for the actual thing. Pokemon springs to mind.
Yes, I was thinking that.
Yeah. So
I feel like you're like,
I sort of say maybe re-evaluating a little bit, because I'm thinking like I feel like I should give it a higher score than I initially was going to go with, because like I say, there is a big nostalgia factor on this. I feel like it's almost like a comfort film for me.
Yeah, I get that.
It feels that way. Like, it's just, like I say, I know it very, very well for whatever reason, and it doesn't get boring on rewatches. The amount of times I may have seen it based on that, and it's got elements that I really like. There's practical effects as well that really work. They still hold up pretty well. CGI, again, ropey, but again, that CGI is just one of those things that there's always going to be a step up in eventually, but it's,
it just ages.
You can't knock too much off it for that.
For its time, it will have been brilliant.
Yeah. So I think I will go with 8.5.
Woo! Okay, I'll take it.
Yeah.
So we got.
Yeah, I think the 0.5 is more of a nostalgia factor. It would probably be 8, really, if I was going to do it. But I'm going to put it at 8.5 because it's just something I just really enjoy.
I feel like I've redeemed myself. Thank you.
Yeah, but no, you've done good in picking some variety of different films, especially obviously Jumanji we just talked about. That meant a lot to me. Still does. From back in the day, and I know obviously the first one, the Hitchcock one we watched, was not a great success, but we didn't know. We assumed, I guess, with high, director like that with such acclaim, that they'd all be winners, but sadly that's not the case in that instance. But and the one you picked out that I hadn't seen, I enjoyed. So yeah,
I'll take it. I feel like this has been one of the strongest birthday specials for me that you've actually enjoyed the majority of the films. One was really poor, but I've got some good scores from you, so I'm happy.
I'm very happy that you're happy. And happy birthday.
Thank you.
So everyone, please do wish Sophie a happy birthday. Big 30.
Big 30th.
Yeah,
I've been on this planet for 30 years, and you've known me soon for 10 of them years.
Yeah.
Aren't you blessed?
Yeah, and many more years to come, I'd say.
So it feels like it's coming my month this month, obviously September month, and then big October month, the big wedding. Got his first wedding gift the other day. Well excited.
Mm-hmm.
So it was lovely. So also it's film related as well, because it's a rose plant that's called It's a Wonderful Life, and I mean, how sweet is that?
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah.
But also the fact that we both love
that film. Yeah.
That film.
Yeah.
Like literally Paul cries every time, and then Paul crying makes me cry.
Mm-hmm. I know it's Mark's favourite film as well, from 100 Things.
Well, he's got
film.
good taste.
Yeah.
Hasn't he?
Yeah.
Just shame when we review films that with him, they're never that good.
Well, I don't know. We covered Jurassic Park with him, so.
Yeah, but that was on his.
Yeah.
And then we did
RoboCop.
Yeah. I was going to even say the wrong film then.
What were you going to say?
I don't want to say.
No, go on.
No, you're going to pick on me.
Okay.
Say it.
Okay, never mind then. Well, hopefully you've enjoyed what we've covered as reviews on this episode. And if you would be so kind as to go and listen to some other episodes of ours, you can do so over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and wherever else you might get your podcasts from.
And if you want to give us a message, follow us, listen to anything that we're posting or updating you on anything like that, then obviously we are on social media. So you can follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. I forgot that one then. God, ropey. Under the handle SP_filmviewers. Any nice comments, anything that you want to kind of review. Obviously, we're kind of getting up to the run-up of the wedding. But obviously, once we pick it back up, any ideas and suggestions, we can always take those on board. And then it'll be Christmas.
Yep, it will be.
This is why I planned the wedding in October.
Yeah, sure is. Sure is the reason.
So that we didn't have to do
so,
the podcast. I don't think we even do the podcast when we planned his wedding, to be fair.
No, I don't think
we weren't.
No.
So we booked. So no, it's not.
No, it's not. It's definitely not the reason.
No.
Yeah.
Just sounds good.
Yeah. So there'll be one more after this episode for the month in September, and then we're taking a short break, understandably, for final preparations with things. Honeymoon's part of that, and then we will come after a long break, be refreshed and everything. As a married couple, we'll come back.
Aww. Better be good, the first married couple one that we're going to watch. No pressure, Paul.
Yeah.
Can't we just review Singing in the Rain again?
No.
Ah.
No, sadly not.
I'd watch that again.
Well, we can do. There's no stopping you.
It's overdue.
No, we saw it recently.
I know, it still feels overdue.
So, before we go, any 5-star reviews are always welcome. And any high praise for Sophie, welcome also. On the social media posts, Instagram, Twitter, wherever, messages to wishing her happy birthday. Once again, would be spot on. So, yeah, show her support on for being backbone of the show.
The annoyance. The one that just gabs. But yeah, if you want to wish me happy birthday, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
Thank you, hopefully, in advance.
Well, it'll be the day when this comes out, so.
Yeah, it will.
Should be doing so.
Be an old lady then.
So thank you very much once again for listening, and we will speak to you next time.
Speak to you next time.
Bye.
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 Bye.